Everyone, it's Karen, and on today's episode, I brought one of my St. Charles picks, which is Aria Harding. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate this.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming on. Because, like I said, I saw your booth is all pink, and I'm obsessed with pink. So I was like, okay, let me. And then you have
Yeah.
such a great personality. Like I
Oh my
love.
gosh.
Like I really wish we were friends. Like honestly, like
Yes.
beforehand, even this happened. Like I was like, where have you been my whole life? Like you are
I know,
so
right?
great. Like that's what I wanted to tell you, but I'm like, this
You're
is a
so
little
sweet.
weird. First
No.
time, but you're just so. You're so. You're such a ray of sunshine. So I
Oh, well,
love
thank
it.
you very much. Thank you.
Oh. All right. So are you ready for all these questions I have
Yes,
for
let's
you?
get this going.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the first question I have for you today is, how do you find time to write?
Um, that's kind of a tricky question because it depends. Life gets really busy sometimes, so it's one of those things where it's sometimes depending on if I'm, just finishing a project or if I'm getting ready on starting a project or even in the middle of the project, it depends on how I prioritize the writing. But usually if I'm finishing a project, I'm like, go, 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 we got to get it done. And that is when it's more of a priority. And I'm like, okay, I need to be in the writing cave. Don't bother me. Versus if I'm just getting started with a project, it's kind of like I'm kind of going with the vibes. I don't want to force anything that's not there. So it does kind of ebb and flow, but it's when it's a priority, when I'm, trying to meet a deadline with an editor or even like a publishing or arc team deadline, I'm usually like, okay, I need to get this done. I have this many chapters I have to finish and then go from there.
Yeah. Now, I get that. Like, you have certain times where you're just like, I got to get this done, and other times it's like, all right, some, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, next question I have for you is, what is the best time of day for you to write?
So that actually too varies by project, which is really interesting. Right now, the project that I'm working on, I am writing primarily in like the late morning, early afternoon. Other projects it's like, I don't know. I don't know what it has to do with. It must just be when my brain is like the most active in that space or in that world per se. So, it kind of depends. Right now, I'm writing the most in the afternoons. So,
Nice. Yeah, kind of all depends on your lifestyle and stuff too.
hmm
So, some people are morning people, some, and I like also that you kind of pick how you said based on like in the mood for the book or whatever of like
hmm
writing kind of before. You really do have to be in the mood to do stuff. Like if you
Yeah.
aren't feeling it, you're not gonna provide the best work that you've ever had. And
Right.
if you're just whatever, I'm here, like I have to write today, but that's not, I mean, yeah, you're showing up, but like that's gonna be not a good attitude for that day.
I'm very
So
much a like, there are certain points where I get where I'm like, I have to get this done, but
mhm.
otherwise I try not to force it. So it's like if I plan to write and it's just not happening, then I'm like, okay, I need to go do something else. Because
Yeah.
if I'm not having a fun time writing it, then probably no one's going to have a fun time reading it type of thing. So that's where I'm
Yep.
like, if it's not vibing with me, I don't want to put it on the page.
Right. No, I
Yeah.
totally get that. All
hmm
right. So the next question I have for you is how do you know what to write?
You mean like as far as what scene to write
Yeah.
or yeah.
Well, like when you're writing a book, like what do you know what to write? When like does somebody like tell you what to write or do you get to
Mm.
freestyle your own creativity? And if so, how do you come up with that creativity of being able to say, well, this is what I want to do today, compared to
Yeah.
like whoever your editor or whoever is telling you today, like, well, I need this many words or what so many paragraphs. That's what I was
Yeah.
meaning. Sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I would say so in that capacity, it's pretty much all of my creative freedom. I've worked with editors like this project I'm working on. I've worked with my editor pretty closely on that, but ultimately all the choices are mine, where it's, I can brainstorm, bounce ideas off of each other, even some of my author friends, but then it is ultimately my decision when I sit down and go to the page, what's going to happen. And sometimes it's not really even about what I want, it's about what the characters end up doing, which is really interesting. Um, but this also kind of depends on what project I'm working on because I've been known to like bounce around in the outline where
Okay.
it's like my first book, Chasing Infinity, takes place over multiple years. And so I had like a present point of view, I had a past point of view, and then I had another present point of view in that span of the book. So I would write a scene in like the present point of view and I'd be like, oh, I need to mirror this. So then I would jump,
Right.
20, 30 chapters ahead and write that scene 10 years in the past.
Okay.
Um,
I like that.
and then I would go back. These days, I am a little bit more writing kind of in chronological order, which is, more systemic. Like,
Mhm.
it's, there's a method to the madness, I guess. But
Yeah.
something hits, like if I get a scene that I really want to put in the book or a piece of dialogue or something that needs to be on the page, I make sure that I get that written down. But as far as like writing now, I'm still kind of going in chronological order, and it just depends on what inspires that scene to happen. I'm kind of at a point right now where in this project I'm working on, I'm still in like the discovery phase of some
Right.
scenes. So I write what I down, like I just kind of word vomit in like either a note on my
Yeah.
phone or even on the writing program that I have. But then I'm like, okay, how do I get from where I am now to where I need to be for the next scene? And then that's where I'm like, I need to think about it. I need to kind of marinate on it. And then I don't know, when the vibes are right, I guess I get the scene down.
I like
Are you
that.
sensing the theme here?
Yes. Yes, I am. But I mean, I like the theme you got going on. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you have a method. Everybody has a method to their own madness, and
hmm
you got it going on.
Yep.
So, I'm applauding you.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
welcome. All right. So, the next question I have for you is how long does it take you to, well, I already asked that question. For how long does it take you to write a book? But,
It depends. Yeah, I've written a book in, months.
mhm,
The book I'm working on now, I've almost been working on for almost a whole year. So it kind of, and I'm not even close to being done with it. Chasing Infinity took 2.5 years. Um, Wonderstruck is my second book that I published, is the one that took just a few months. And granted, it was a rewrite of a book that I had written when I was a teenager. But then, so I kind of knew the story already. The
yeah.
biggest thing that takes the most time for me is figuring out what the heck is going on with this story. And that can ebb and flow and it can change 50,000 words into the draft. And it's a wild ride. So, right now I'm kind of stuck in the slog of, okay, this book is going to take some time, but we're getting there.
Yeah. No, I actually am really glad that somebody finally brought this up. So, about you saying you have your teenage writings that you're trying
Mhm.
to fix. I have so many teenage writings that I'm trying to fix
Yeah.
that I just want to be like, and how you said it does take time to fix
hmm
those because you're trying to figure out like, okay, what's going on? Like we remember, but we like what's going to happen now, and then we have to fix it. Like, I don't know. In your opinion, is it easier to fix your teenage writing or write something new?
Um, I in a lot of ways, I think that it was, especially in the case of Wonderstruck, because that book, when I wrote it, it was pretty well fleshed out.
Okay.
Um, it was just maybe not to the point of like completion. Like it was not fully well-rounded as a story. And that mostly just because I was an experienced writer. I just didn't really know like the craft of how a
Yeah.
plot structure works, how, characters need to have something to overcome rather
Right.
than just, trying to fall in love. So
Yeah.
which is a conflict in itself. But so for that, with Wonderstruck, it was more just like, okay, I have a really pretty decent understanding of what I want to happen in this book. But then it was like, okay, I can draw from, because I wrote this, gosh, that was 3 or 4 years ago. So I was almost in my 30s by that point, so I could pull from life experience and all of that. So it was more just well-rounded, I
Yeah.
guess. Then again, Loathing Ryan, which is my duet in my Cedar Ridge series, that is also a rewrite. That was the very first story I ever posted on. I started on Wattpad when I was a teenager.
Oh, that's
So I
awesome.
started
Go
posting that one.
you.
Yeah. And that was so fun to pick back up again because I mean those characters are very important to me just because they're my characters. But I expanded on that story tenfold. It started out as one book with two parts and then it turned into two whole books with,
Oh, wow.
their own individual plot lines and everything else. So that one was a little bit harder for me, but at the same time, I was still posting online when I was rewriting it. So I was getting immediate feedback. I was building the community, and that really does make a big difference, at least for me, as far
Mhm.
as how well a project goes, where it's like if I can get feedback, it really helps build it, because I
Yeah.
can reroute as needed. But
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Feedback is always good, whether it's good or bad.
Hmm.
And I tell that to everybody. Like, don't be sad or upset that someone gave you
Hey, yeah.
negative. They're not negative. Everything's
Hmm.
positive. So,
Feedback's feedback, but
yep.
as far as like sometimes it's easier to just start a brand new book. It depends on the characters because sometimes an idea has hit me and I'm like, this is 100% the story I'm telling. I know exactly what's
Yep.
going to happen, and then like we just kind of move forward. Versus other stories where it's like I'm restarting the draft 50,000 words into it, and it's like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I mean, it's kind of easy to fix some of my teenage writing because I know what I wanted to happen, but then
mhm.
I just get so frustrated with myself that I'm like,
Now I
why
would
were you
say,
so. Go
well,
ahead.
there is that. It's just like the times are so different where things
Yeah,
that, were then are just not now. And so when I say a rewrite, I mean it's a rewrite of the concept. I
right.
probably kept less than 10% of the words that I wrote
Okay.
from the story. So I would like put it on a PDF, I'd put it on my iPad, and I would go through and highlight what I liked. And
Yeah.
it was slightly alarming when I realized I'm like, oh, I don't like any of this. So let me restart.
Yep.
We're just going to use
Me
these
too.
characters. We're going to use the concept, but it's just you kind of for me, I was like, I needed a full blank slate. I just took these characters from their original version and planted them into the present, and then it
Yeah.
was like flow time, so it was good. But
Yeah.
I don't know, writing's a craft, so it's like you get better the more you do it. And when you look back on where you came from, you're like, oh, okay, I see progress. I see it.
That is true. All
Hmm.
right. So the next question I have for you is, what is the most difficult part of writing a book?
Um, for me, it is finishing the first draft.
Mhm.
And that is partly because the discovery process can take so much like mental energy sometimes, where I am easy to get stuck in a first draft, or
Yep.
I'm easy to get stuck if I don't have like that kind of like idea of where it's going. So I love outlining and I love looking at story structure. And that's one of my favorite parts too, is I love after the draft is done, after I've gotten the feedback, I love going back and then making it better. But getting that first draft, getting the
Yeah.
rough structure of what I'm doing, that can sometimes take the longest and it's sometimes the hardest for me. Because once it's there, I can imagine I can take it and I can polish it and I can turn it into something beautiful. But it's
Right.
like, and I'm just getting the first words out. I'm like, "Wait, what's happening now? Where am I going?" But then once I get there, I'm like, we're done.
Yeah.
We can fix this, whatever this is.
Right. I like
Mhm.
that. All right. So the next question I have for you is, did you self-publish or go the traditional route and why?
I self-published because I wanted to have a little bit more of creative control over what I was doing, like with covers and with editing and all of that. And I do love being self-published because I do have that control over everything. Is it a dream to potentially maybe get trad published someday? Sure, but I don't know if that, it's a hard process to get into that, you know, mouse race, but
Yeah.
I'm enjoying right where I am right now. So,
That's great. Yeah,
mhm.
I wanted to do the like other route instead of self-publishing the traditional way because everybody, like when I was a teenager, you want
It's the
everything
dream,
kind of
right?
done for
Yeah.
you, and
Hmm.
then I'm like, that's taken away from me using my own photos for the book covers. That's taken away
Hmm.
from everything creative for me. So no, whenever I do
Yes.
publish, I'm just going to try to self-publish myself. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Hmm.
so
That's
I
what I
like
would
it.
start with because it's always a goal to grow to, but it's also just a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that. All right. So the next question I have for you is what important advice would you give a first-time writer or author?
Just keep writing. That
Yes.
is all I can say. And I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's like the more you write, the more you study your craft, the better you get at it.
Mhm.
And it just, the more you spend time learning and reading and it's kind of studying the process of words on a
Mhm.
page, like it opens up such a whole amazing world. So just keep writing. That's all you can do.
Now, I love hearing that. I love hearing every time I ask that question, I'm like, I want you to say keep writing because that's
Yeah.
what people need to hear. That's what, like,
Hmm.
when they're stuck or feeling bad or whatever, like, they need someone to say, just keep writing. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Kind of,
okay
and
if
like,
yeah. It's okay
right.
if you don't like what the story that you're writing right now, you can always write another one. It's okay if you
Exactly.
don't, if you're not writing a perfect first draft because your first draft shouldn't be perfect. So it's one of those things where the only way you're going to get better and get to be the author that you want to be is just by practicing. It's like the same with any other skill, riding a bike or learning an instrument where it's a practice, and the more that you
Yeah.
do it, the better you get. So.
Yep, I completely agree. All right. So the next question I have for you is what inspires you to write?
I draw inspiration from anything and everything, and it just depends on what itches my brain the right way. Like, I could be on TikTok and I could see a cute little video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. I could see this story just unfolding right around this concept of whatever it is. Or
Yeah.
the trilogy that I just finished, the covers I had for that were pre-mades by the lovely Haya in Designs, and she posted these covers, and I saw them, and the story just like unfolded in my brain. So for each
Nice.
book. So it
Hmm.
kind of just depends where I draw inspiration from anything. Anything that kind of gets that process going is how it happens.
I'm the same way. Like literally anything will spark my brain. It's
Hmm.
like serious. I thought I was the only one because I was like, "What's wrong with me?" And then I've heard other
Nope.
people. They're like, "No, like they." Because growing up, I was the only child, so I
Hmm.
wasn't around a lot of kids. And so I didn't understand, like, well, I'm thinking of this because I saw this, and my teachers were like, it's okay.
Yeah,
Like you are normal.
you just gotta
And
do it. Yeah.
right. So I love it. All right. The next question I have for you is when did you first realize you wanted to be an author?
I've always written. I think the first time, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to write on pieces of paper like stories about my family dog. And, he was a superhero, and I would illustrate them and write them and all these. He had a whole series of books. And then Wattpad happened, and I started telling stories on Wattpad. And so it's always been something that I've loved to do. Probably I started around age 13. And then when I was 15, 16 is when I started posting more on Wattpad with Loathing Ryan and then Wonderstruck. And then there was a break in there just as I was kind of getting started in college and working, and then COVID happened, and then I picked it back up again, and I was like, yeah, we're doing this. So, which I think is that's a pretty common thread, just people trying to find release and, creativity and
Yeah.
storytelling and escaping from the world. So, um,
Yeah.
it's something that I've always had as a part of me. So
I like that. All right. Next question I have for you is what are your favorite books to read?
I am a romance lover. So I read anything fiction, but I prefer to read, romance. But I love just a good story that's going to capture and um, I don't know, just hit me in the feels. So I tend to lean more towards romance. I'm reading more fantasy, I'm reading
Mhm.
more general fiction. My favorite book that I just read was Project Hail Mary, which that one was so good, which I'm not usually a science fiction person, but I loved that book. So I'll pick up anything as long as it's speaking to me.
I like that. I don't know. I'm variety. I kind of am the same way. But I don't know. I kind of grew up wanting to read books based on like if they had a movie so that I could
Okay,
feel
yeah.
like I was reading like their manuscript, which
Yeah.
really wasn't the manuscript. It was just a book, but it made me feel like I'm behind the scenes. I'm getting to read
Yes.
more than
Yeah.
so that's what inspired me to read more
Hmm.
probably when I got older and stuff because Harry Potter and then The
Oh yeah.
Hobbit.
Yep.
So that I started watching the movies and stuff, and then I was like, oh, I fall in love with that. So let's read the book. So then I'm like, just fell in love from there. So,
Yeah. Love that.
but all right. So the next question I have for you is, what is your favorite part of being a writer?
I love getting to see the stories come together, and that is one of my favorite things. And being able to read through a finished project and know where it started and how it got to this point. That's just so, it's very satisfying just to see they come together, see the characters fully realized in themselves and finding their happily ever afters. And that's one of my favorite parts is just being able to look at a completed manuscript and say, wow, yeah, I know where this started. This started from a TikTok video that, spurred
Right.
my inspiration and now it's this. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't know, just the process. I really do, as much as it drives me nuts sometimes, I really do just love the process of getting a book written. And um, so that's probably my favorite part of writing. But then as far as like being the author, the community is really amazing, especially in this indie publishing space. Everybody's so great, and I've made some of my best friends through this process, and they're amazing and supportive, and they know more about me than some of the other friends that I've known my whole life. So it's kind of
Yeah.
one of those things where it's the space makes it, and that's really
Yeah.
exciting. Mhm.
Yeah. I'm starting to really realize like I say community instead of space, but like, well, it's the same thing. Like
Yeah.
your area that you decide to branch out in. One, that's helping you grow because you're
Mhm.
probably scared to death to do something new.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. And then once you do start meeting new people, then you're like, oh my gosh, this is not so
Hmm.
bad. Like, why was I so scared about this previously?
Yeah.
Because I've learned this a lot with like my podcast because I used to hate recording myself. I still don't like my voice, but it's here, whatever. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes it doesn't sound good. So, but since I was in college, because I'm still currently in college, I'm a senior now. So,
Yeah.
woo, get my bachelor's next year. So,
Yay, congratulations.
thanks. I had to record myself for one of my projects. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
I
Like,
know,
I
that's
was
the
just
worst.
crying. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my, I'm so nervous. I'm like, okay, this is your homework. You love homework. Stop, like, because I'm a big nerd. Like, let me put a little side note in there. I'm a nerd with homework because I love
Yes.
learning.
Yeah.
I just
I'm the
it
same
makes
way.
me feel good. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Karen, stop, do your homework. like get over your voice. And then once I turned that project in, and yeah, it was on Sony. But I mean, yeah, I still did not like my voice, and I still will never like my voice. But it made me blossom into thinking of this idea. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
a great way to start a podcast, reach new people, like show who you are and your creativity and stuff. So,
Yes,
but
exactly. Mhm.
all right, we got to speed this up. It's saying we're almost done. So we got three more
Okay.
questions
Okay.
anyways.
Okay.
Um, what makes a great story?
I think what makes a great story is whatever the author, like the amount of care and love and effort that is put into it. And you can usually tell, I think, that when an author is loving what they're writing. And that goes back to what I was even saying at the beginning, where it's like if I'm writing something and I'm not loving it, I'm like, okay, we need to pause this because
Yeah.
the energy is matched, where it's the input equals the output, basically. So,
Yep. I
mm,
1,000% agree with you. Like yeah, you need one for the other. So.
yes, absolutely.
All right, the next question I have for you is, what's the most surprising thing you have learned while writing your books?
Um, that one's kind of tricky. I would say the most surprising thing I've learned is just the aspect of kind of word crafting, I think, where that is, you start in a place where you're like, oh yeah, I love words, I can do this, but then once you kind of level up and get deeper into the knowledge of the language and usage of words, that kind of surprised me, where it's like, oh, just the things that you can accomplish, the pictures that you can paint with words, how you piece them together. I would say that's probably what surprised me the most.
Actually, for me, yeah, I did too. I
Mhm.
like that because I never really liked using like studying words. I don't know. For
Mhm.
me, I never really liked that, but then I started like reading the dictionary because
Yeah.
you really need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
well, when we had dictionaries, people back in, I mean, we still probably
Yeah.
do, but
Right. I've
everything's
almost always got
online
the
now.
dictionary pulled up on my browser. So
Right. So, but yeah, building words is what you need to build the perfect book, I feel like,
yeah.
because
Mhm.
if your words aren't going to flow, it's not going to be able to capture anybody's emotions and stuff like that. So, I completely
Yeah.
agree. All right. So, the last question I have for you is, how do you handle writer's block?
I think we've kind of touched on this a few times where it's
Mhm.
there comes a point where sometimes I have to just force through it, and then there are other times where I have to kind of respect that if there's something blocking the writing process,
Yeah.
I need to decide if it's a me problem or if it's a story problem.
Yep.
And so that's where if it's a me problem, I can usually try and push through it. But if I'm blocked at a certain point, that usually triggers something in my mind where I have to make sure that it's not the outline, that it's not something in this actual story structure that needs to be reevaluated, if it
Yeah.
needs to be thrown away completely. And so that's where it just depends on where I'm blocked and if I can power through it. And if I can't, then that's usually a point where I'm like, okay, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing here. But also, there are certain times where I'm just like, oh, I don't feel like I'm in this space that I can write right now. And that's okay too, where I'll just go watch a show or I'll go on a walk or listen to a podcast. And if that's the case where something kind of triggers that writing process, then I know it's just a me problem, you know?
Yeah. But at
Mhm.
least you figure it out that way. So,
Yeah,
but okay, I have a pop-up question. Do you have any of your books around you by chance to show us?
I do. Yes, I can grab one. I should have grabbed one to begin with, but let me
Sorry.
grab it real quick. No,
Okay.
you're fine. Okay, so this is His Perfect Muse. This is my most recent release.
I love it. So when was it released?
This was released earlier this year. So I released, this is book three in my Perfect Art trilogy. So this
Okay.
is book three of the pre-made cover trilogy that I bought from Heya and Designs. And so book two and book three were kind of published close together earlier this year, February and March.
Oh, that's exciting. I like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have like 4 minutes. So do you have any like upcoming events you want to talk about or anything like new book writing or anything you want to kind of talk about really quick?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I don't have any other further events this year, but I do have some next year in Savannah, Georgia, and then Wilmington, North Carolina. So a little bit further from home. Hopefully I'll be able to pick up some more local Midwest events as well too throughout the year. But I am actually kind of working on a little bit of a genre shift right now. So the book that I'm working on right now is going to be more in the fantasy realm, which I'm really excited
Ooh.
about. We're kind of going to do a little bit of a shift here. So I'm very excited about that. I really feel like it's going to be really exciting to see that come to fruition. So
That's
yeah.
exciting. I'm ready
Hmm.
for it too now because I love when people change up their as people say, spice things up nowadays.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
I like it though. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you again for
Yeah. Thank
answering all my
you.
questions and coming on. I really appreciate
Yeah,
you
I
accepting
appreciate
my
it.
everything.
Yep.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for having me.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a
We'll
good
talk
rest of your
soon.
day.
Yeah, you
Talk
too.
soon. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.